morning and welcome to ET Now Startup Central, the first and only daily show in India dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Karunya Rao. We have a power-packed show lined up for you over the next few minutes. But our top focus today will be the point-of-sale payment solution company Pine Labs, which is all set to acquire gift card solutions provider Qwikcilver. The deal has been valued at $110 million. Qwikcilver was founded back in 2006 by Pratap, TP and Sudarshan. Reports suggest that the company's annualized gross transaction value is almost $1.5 billion. Amazon, Systema Asia Fund, Axel India and Helion Venture Partners are some of the big investors that are interested and invested in this startup. So let's talk about this deal, this transaction that has been announced. We're now being joined by the co-founder of Qwikcilver, Pratap TP. Pratap, thank you so much for joining us on Startup Central right here on ET Now, and congratulations on the exit. Could you start with talking to us about what led to the deal with Pine Labs? Why Pine Labs and why now? Why would you, what were the triggers that led you to go through this deal?
Yep. Thank you. Good evening. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
So, speaking from our office here in Koramangala in Bangalore, supposedly the hub of all activity in the startup ecosystem in India. And the team is pretty bullish, happy, and see this as one culmination of a fantastic voyage, gifted voyage that we've had over the last decade plus in our SaaS cloud-hosted multi-tenanted platform existence. And at the same time, we also see that this is a pit stop as we still continue on the voyage, of creating a global ecosystem for gift cards and prepaid stored value solutions for multiple markets, multiple customers with various use cases that are further going to be scaled up over time. And coming to the specific transaction, this is on the one hand, while it's a testimony to the efforts that our team has put in over the last many years, it's also testimony to the trust and faith reposed in us by our more than 500 plus enterprise customers across India and international markets in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, and also the trust that our marquee investors have reposed in us over the years, because building and scaling a category which didn't exist earlier involved evangelizing and pioneering the category rather than in a B2B ecosystem. And there were many naysayers who told us that it's better for us to be focusing on other markets rather than India. India is tough. B2B ecosystem in India is very difficult. Enterprise standard, global standards, product building in India is very difficult. But whether we were stupid, whether we were foolish, but at the same time we just stuck to our knitting. We just decided to focus on this category over the times, and that possibly has helped us build this leadership, build this ecosystem in India, because we were singularly focused on building the gift card industry in India, notwithstanding what many individuals told us, many well-wishers told us, because we just believed that India was hot. India is continuing to be hot at a time when retail markets were scaling up, the online markets were scaling up. So that's the framework in which we were actually building the market.
Right.
And
Pratap, allow me to interrupt you there. Now, Pine Labs has indicated that the teams will function separately and the founders, including you, will continue in your role. There are a lot of synergies clearly which can be executed. So give us a glimpse of what happens next.
Yes, because as a company, we are extremely delighted to be working with an entity like a Pine Labs, because who we very sincerely and mutually respect for what they have done. So both of our organizations have been in the market over a tremendous period of time. These are not, for instance, while we have been a decade plus in the market, and a company like a Pine Labs has been in the market for almost practically 2 decades. And so each of us has earned our spurs. We have kind of learned the market, built the market over a long period of time in India. So while we are startups in every sense of the term. We have kind of proven the concept and taken the product to market successfully in our respective ecosystems. So there's a healthy mutual respect for each other. And as you said, that we do believe that there is tremendous headroom still for growth in the category. That's precisely one of the reasons why a large organization like Pine Labs has seen potential and synergies for us to be working together and scaling up together. And in spite of the fact that we've been growing by 200% as a category adoption over the last 4 years. And the teams are going to continue. Everything is business as usual. In fact, the team is going to be that much more wiser, that much more stronger, that much more driven as we work. While it's independently, we too can kind of call on the immense presence of Pine Labs in the market with a wider presence of merchants, wider presence of technology integrations between the Qwikcilver platform and the Pine Labs platform. Thereby, both our customers can see far more effective, far more novel solutions and products which can be launched on the market over the coming period of time. And that's where we see the synergies which can be leveraged, because we have been focused on the closed loop and the semi-closed loop gift card ecosystem. And we see that the next phase of growth can be by having an integration with a strong player like Pine Lab, which has got more than 300,000 points of sale which have been deployed across the markets.
Right. Pratap, we're a tad bit pressed on time. So very quickly then, as a closing comment, I'd like to know, gifting card solutions was not really quite the trend when you started back in 2006. So how were you able to scale up and get strategic investors on board? What has been your biggest learning over the last 13 years odd?
Biggest learnings, I would say, continue to remain focused on what you set out to do. And I think success will come your way. I think that's been one. So have a clear vision of what you see as where you want to be and chalk out that, and have a strong team which is believing in the cause along with you. So that's been one singular aspect of us, that the team has been passionate over this entire journey. We've had the strong team which has worked together and believed in this and retained the energy, retained the zeal, retained the passion for building this product platform and the ecosystem, and be true to your word. That's one thing that I think, remain humble, remains true to your product proposition, and don't promise more than what you can deliver. Under-deliver is not going to be working. You could probably under-promise and over-deliver. But at the same time, what is important is that we just need to be clear as to what you want to set out to do and stick to that, rather than try to spray around in the dark.
Great. Pleasure chatting with you, Pratap. I wish we had a tad bit more time to discuss things in a more elaborate way, but we're a little pressed on time. But really appreciate you talking to us about this big transaction, this big exit that Qwikcilver has made. Moving on to a global name. Uber has revolutionized how we commute, that too on a global scale. It's now looking beyond cars as it begins to place big bets on new offerings. Now, Rahul Dayama was at Santa Monica recently to understand the next big thing Uber is betting on. So we have this special segment lined up for you, but let's first start out with Rahul Dayama. Let's take it across to him.
Transportation policy has really been at the helm as far as Uber operations are concerned. And joining me is Andrew, who sort of leads the transportation policy and research. And Andrew, wonderful having you.
That's great to be here.
Talk to us about how a lot has changed over the last 4 or 5 years in the markets that you operate. Policies have sort of become efficient while you're still battling some more, but things have improved, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of that's down to the products that we're launching. I mean, some of the things we're talking about today, we're talking about public transportation being offered in the Uber app. You're talking about bikes and scooters being available in a market like we're in right now. I think a lot of that has really changed the conversation. We've also had a change in leadership over the last year and a half, where Dara's been our new CEO. I know he visited India last year. You know, a lot of that has helped, I think, to change the conversation we're having with policymakers to, yes, still some conversations about regulation, but increasingly we're talking about partnerships we can have around data, around transit service, around underserved communities. All of that, I think, has really been new over the last couple of years.
But you're also sort of handling a challenging job at that, considering there are so many regulations that you're battling in a lot of markets. So what would really be your toughest market, if I were to ask for? Or is there one at all, considering you are really seeing some challenges across a lot of your markets?
Yeah, well, we're in 65 countries around the world, and I think no two are the same. And even in a country like the US or in India, there's different regulations across the world. And I think we're different, you know, different markets and different business lines, right? We're talking about bike and scooter regulations, which are totally different than what we've been seeing on rides. So, you know, it's hard to say there's one place that's the challenge, but I think by and large the question is, how do we get from a business that in the US is maybe 1% of travel to something that's bigger, 10, 20, 30%? We're really building a credible alternative to the personal car. That's the question. So how do you build a regulatory structure that allows a business like ours to grow, to scale, and to build a credible alternative in more places for more people to owning and buying your own car?
Got it. You know, we were discussing that Dara was, of course, in India, and he spoke about how crucial the market is. Your sense, have we seen the regulation sort of, you know, scooters, you're still battling it largely. How do you really view the Indian market and the regulation challenges that it poses?
Yeah, I mean, India is one of the biggest markets we have in the world. It's obviously a key focus for the company. You know, I think in all places there's no one answer. So, you know, I don't know the specifics that I can point to in specific places, but I think the reality is everywhere that we are, we're trying to make an argument. That's what I work on, is how does our growth actually help the core transportation policy challenges that growing cities in India are facing. So how do we show that we can grow in a way that actually lowers climate emissions, that brings costs down for more people in more places, that provides, you know, a sustainable marketplace for both sides, for drivers and riders both? And that's what we're working on. Is say, what's the long-term future for that platform? How do we build that in a way that works with city government?
So when do we see the scooters and the bikes and the transit in India?
I wish I could tell you. I think it'd be great to be there soon. I think we definitely want to go international with all those products. I know I work closely with the transit and scooter team, so I think we're looking at markets around the world for how we can bring those. I don't have anything to announce today, but we'd love to bring them to there soon.
Got it. You know, from a driver incentive point of view, we've seen globally the shift sort of change the manner in which it has, and we've seen driver partners who are integral to the platform sort of increase protests across the platform. So, you know, have you figured out a way of how to really address that issue, and what really is the answer as far as that is concerned?
I mean, to me, the answer basically is that there's no way the platform works long term if we don't have a platform that works for drivers, right? So I think in the end of the day, we rely on drivers to deliver service. They're a core part of the platform. I think it's been the case over the last several years. That it hasn't always been true that we put the driver's interests first on the platform, but you've seen over the last year and a half that with new leadership at the top, I think the focus has genuinely been building a long-term sustainable product, and that means making it work for drivers. So to me, there's no one answer to that question, but providing a service that is a compelling offering for drivers every time they open the app. We know we're competing with other services, we're competing with other opportunities for people, and if it doesn't work for you to spend your time on the Uber platform, we're not going to have a business to run long term.
Got it. You know, it's also, you spoke about Dara, you know, at the helm and how that has changed the scope of things. Could you talk about, you know, what has really changed after he's been at helm? Is it the focus on the platforms? Is it how you really do business in a lot of these countries? What changes Travis and Dara really?
Yeah, well, I think it's both the things you mentioned. I think both the products we're building. So if you look out the window here, we've got bikes, we've got scooters, we've got transit launch. So I think that focus on really being a platform for mobility that goes beyond cars has really been something that he's emphasized, and you can see the fruits paying off in terms of products we're launching, investments we're making. And the other one is what you talked about as well, which is a change in tone at the top, right? It's not just that we're building great products for our riders and for drivers, it's that we're actually treating cities and governments as partners across the world. And I think that change in tone at the top and the emphasis in the products we're building has really been something meaningful that's changed over the last year and a half. So it's both. It's a product investments and also a kind of tone and an approach to regulators and governments around the world.
Got it. Last couple of questions.
Sure.
You know, data is sort of very integral to it. Of course, there's the Uber movement, but you would look to work with governments largely. You know, how would the conversation really pan out while we talk about trends that will stand out, mobility or electric vehicles also sort of coming by? So there's a lot of work that you'll we'll have to do with governments as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think things that you mentioned, electrification, I think new vehicle technology, finding ways to overall lower the system and bring zero carbon transportation to reality. Those are things that they're not necessarily they're Uber priorities, but they're also government priorities. And so there's lots of opportunity there, I think, to collaborate. So it's not that we are, starting from a blank slate. We know that cities and governments have priorities like electrification of transport system that we can help them deliver on. We're not starting from scratch. We're actually building off the needs that have already been expressed by cities and governments around the world.
All right. Works well. Wonderful chatting up with you. And
nice talking to you.
Thank you so much. One of the big bets that Uber is betting big on has to be scooters. It's been about 5 months since they've launched them here in US. A lot of innovative technology behind it. Batteries, they're also considering electric mediums of it. So I have with me Michael, who's sort of leading the entire scooter initiative at Uber. Nice to have you, Michael. Tell us, it's been about 5 months. That is since this offering has gone live on the app, largely in the States for now. How has the response been, considering, scooter sort of solves an innovative problem of, 2 to 5 miles, really?
Yep, the response has been fantastic. Our users love them. The feedback is very strong. We do a bunch of research with our users to get their feedback, and it's just been extremely positive. We've had a lot of people taking them, a lot of people trying them, retaining, coming back again and again and again, which is how you know that you have product market fit.
Got it. But in terms of sort of expanding this also, what sort of international cities are you looking at? Is there a checklist, considering this sort of solve a very innovative problem? Do they make sense depending on the demographics, the climate? All of that have to also play for scooters to sort of be a big hit in a particular city?
Sure. So, we're looking at every city in the world, especially every city where Uber is. We do think that these can solve, as you mentioned, the less than 5 mile, maybe less than 2 mile trips better than some other forms of transportation. And we are looking everywhere. So we have our analysts looking at different factors, like you mentioned, on weather, on adoption rates, on Uber presence, et cetera. And we are evaluating bringing these to every one of our users all around the world.
Got it. I'm from India, so I can't sort of not ask you about the plans for India.
Sure.
So as far as these scooters are concerned, when do we really see them in the Indian market? Is it really on the cards as we talk?
So I would say it's to be determined at this point. It is something we are considering and evaluating. We are, like I mentioned, we're looking at really all cities where Uber is around the world, and even some cities where Uber rideshare is not. And India is within the set that we are looking at, but we haven't made a decision on that yet.
All right, let's walk by to the scooters, and Michael, if you could also talk about the tech sort of behind it. You do have GPS enabled, and once you're in the Uber app, you sort of get to unlock the scooter, so to say, before you take it. So take us through the basic tech sort of behind this as well.
Sure. So basically, users will either open up their app and see the Jump and the Lime scooters that are available. They can reserve the Jump scooters ahead of time, or they can just walk up to a scooter. When they find the scooter they reserve, they simply take out their app, point the scanner at the QR code. It then unlocks the scooter. The scooter will make a sound, so they know that it's been turned on. They ride it wherever they want to go. Then they park it nicely on the side. They finish the ride in their app.
With that, we'll wrap it up on this edition. Thank you for watching.